Motorsport UK British Rallycross Championship 5 Nations Trophy is held at Pembrey ahead of round 7. It is time for the IRX Modifieds and Suzuki Swift final. Here is the grid then. Jason Bleasdale in the 67 on pole position with Darren Bleasdale on the front row. Then there's a gap back to the Swifts with Max Weatherly, Chris O'Hara and Daryl Chafee. As we get down towards the first corner, it's going to be Jason Bleasdale that gets the whole shot in the sequential gearbox Vauxhall VX220 over his brother, and in the Suzuki Swift, Max Weatherly gets the advantage over Chris O'Hara a little bit further back down the order. There is Max Weatherly, the man who's been so quick over the last couple of seasons in Suzuki Swifts, and the question is now for Chris O'Hara in the fluorescent yellow and black machine if he is going to be able to get himself past Weatherly, as we see a change of lead here. Darren Bleasdale to the inside of his brother and now to the front of the race. So good start to this one then for Darren Bleasdale. In terms of how they looked in their pace earlier on this afternoon, it's been Jason Bleasdale who's been the quicker of the two brothers as they come through the gravel. In the Suzuki Swifts though, meanwhile, Max Weatherly has had the advantage over the likes of Chris O'Hara and indeed Daryl Chafee, who I believe is making his debut here this weekend in the Suzuki Swifts, hence why he's a little bit further off the pace of the likes of Weatherly and Chris O'Hara as it stands for now. But Weatherly there doing as good a job as we are used to seeing him do, soaking up the pressure on the back there of Chris O'Hara, as Darren Bleasdale still continues in front of Jason Bleasdale, which is certainly a bit of a surprise actually, because I was expecting the sequential gearbox VX220 of Jason Bleasdale to be able to have a pace advantage as Chris O'Hara goes into his Joker then, so that's going to give a nice comfortable cushion for Max Weatherly to just run his own pace for the next couple of laps. But Darren Bleasdale there, if anything, trying to extend an advantage here over Jason Bleasdale. Those Vauxhall VX220s may look absolutely identical, but to the best of my knowledge, it's still Darren who's running an 8-pattern gearbox, whereas Jason has got a sequential gearbox. Of course, the sequential generally means that you get faster gear changes, but nonetheless, it is still Darren that's got a comfortable cushion now over his brother as Jason goes into the Joker then. And now the field spreads out. There is Max Weatherly. He hasn't made his Joker yet, as we know. Chris O'Hara in second place in the Suzuki Swift battle already has. And still Max Weatherly holds firm in third place overall in this race, first in the leads in the Suzuki Swift Sport category. Darren Bleasdale there, sitting in the race lead still, with brother Jason in second position. Darren, of course, has not made his Joker as of yet, but we have already seen Jason Bleasdale go into his Joker through onto the gravel. Of course, this Pembrey Circuit, a bit of a driver favourite, reprofiled about 3 or 4 years or so ago now, completely redesigned, and it's a lot tighter and twistier than it was. Some drivers love it, some drivers not so much of a big fan of it, prefer the older layout, but regardless, it does generally produce pretty close racing here, as you can see there. Unfortunately for Daryl Chafee, he's now being lapped actually by Jason Bleasdale and Darren Bleasdale, so he's going a lap down. Whether he's got a problem with the car or something, I'm not 100% sure, but either way, just doesn't seem to quite have the pace of the rest of the field. Max Weatherly it is who leads in the Suzuki Swift standings. 40 points he's on coming into this weekend. Chris O'Hara is second in the championship on 32 points, so an 8-point swing between those two. There is Max Weatherly who leads the Swift charge in third place overall, first in this one, then Chris O'Hara fourth overall in the race as Max Weatherly makes his Joker. But where is he going to emerge as Chris O'Hara is going to go side by side with him? There's close, there's contact. Weatherly off to the grass on the inside. Can he get the car slowed down into the right-hander? Yes, he can. That was brilliant car control there from Chris O'Hara, and Max Weatherly, somehow he managed to make it stick as Jason Bleasdale there actually slowing with Darren going through the Joker. So whether that's a bit of inter-team tactics between the two Bleasdales, and that is why Darren has had the advantage in pace over his brother Jason, I'm not 100% sure, but the upshot is it's Darren Bleasdale who comes across the line to take the win in the IRX modified class ahead of Jason Bleasdale. Then it's Max Weatherly in third place ahead of Chris O'Hara in fourth position, first and second in the Suzuki Swift Sport category as they come through the final corner. for the final time. It was as close as you like between the two of them. There was contact. Somehow Max Witherley was able to get the car stopped and kept it facing in the right direction, and he comes across the line to take third in the race, first overall in the Suzuki Swift. But it's Darren Bleasdale who takes top honours in the IRX modified class, with Max Witherley taking the spoils in the Swifts here too.